Okay, am I audible now? All right. So now that we're
Hi,
live,
you are not audible, Riva.
um, am I audible to others? Okay, Sanjoli ma'am says yes. Okay. All right. Nikita, can you hear me? Okay. I'll just ask Nikita to rejoin us. All right. Until then, I will start with the conference. Good afternoon and greetings to all. I am Reva, and along with Nikita, we bid a very warm welcome to you all to this conference on empowering periods, shaping menstrual policies for schools. This conference has been diligently curated by the Project Vedana team, along with members from various other projects under sarkarischool.in. We also have Gurlab Bani collaborating us for this conference. It is a privilege to be welcoming you all to what we are hoping will be an invigorating discussion. Amidst the ongoing discourse surrounding menstrual leaves in India, we seek to present to you our vision and perspective to empower the young menstruators, take constructive steps towards period equity, and ensure equal opportunities for all. To introduce our panel a little, collaboration has many benefits. It leverages a team's unique perspectives, builds trust and empowerment among collaborators, and creates opportunities for creative communication. It also enables experts and first hand experiences with different skill sets to work together and learn together. Hence, we at Sarkari School believe that collaboration holds the utmost importance, especially when it comes to creating meaningful impact, including the construction of a menstrual policy. A thorough menstrual policy aims at addressing menstrual health and hygiene, promotes gender equality, as well as ensures easy access to menstrual products and services. Thus, our panel seeks to foster a multi stakeholder approach for policy reform. Collaborating with NGOs, menstrual product manufacturers, healthcare providers, educators, policymakers, etc., will surely help create a broader and more diverse coalition. Through this panel, we aim to induce system level changes. I would now like to call upon my team member Mehek to present a formal welcome address to our guests and viewers, as well as share deeper insights and expectations about this panel discussion.
Thank you, Reva. Menstruation is not a limitation, it is a symbol of a woman's infinite capacity to create, nurture, and transform. Queen Rana once said, quoted this. Good afternoon, one and all present here. I would like to welcome you all to this session titled Uniting Forces Collaborating for Menstrual Policy Impact. I bid a very warm welcome to all our mentors, our esteemed speakers, for today and my fellow teammates and the viewers. This discussion will indulge in sharing information, research work, and presenting evidence based arguments to support policy reform in promoting menstrual partnerships that empower the existing as well as prospective menstruators. This exchange of information will help create policy ideas that are grounded in experience and expertise. It will also nurture that the policy it will also ensure that the policy takes into account a wide range of challenges, leading to a more comprehensive approach that inclusive solutions. Hence, by working together, individuals and organizations can leverage their collective influence to advocate for policy changes more effectively. Together, let's advocate for comprehensive solutions and drive impactful system level changes. We carry this vision forward, and to enrich our panel today, we have with us Janvi Tiwari, Chief Menstruation Officer at SOQO, Sanjoli Banerjee, International Award winning activist, founder of Sushiksha Buland, and Director of Sarthi. Sandeep Khanda, founder of Green Pencil Foundation and a period activist. Palak Khanna, founder of Break the Ice, former regional officer for Pacific Asia Pacific and youth changemaker. Dr. Anuja Sankhe, founder of Bolo P for Periods and was a public health consultant at UNICEF and Red R India during COVID-19. We welcome you all. We are sure that this session will greatly advance by uniting experts for a wider impact of combating menstruation related challenges. We are looking forward to learning from you all today. I hope this discussion engages, inspires, and induces our viewers to act together as a team and break all taboos. Thank you. Over to the hosts.
Thank you, Mehek, for introducing the guests. Sarkari School is a platform of young, motivated, and passionate individuals who aspire change. Before we proceed, I now invite Adyasha to tell us more about our organization.
Thank you, Reva. Before starting, I would like to quote Arunachalam Murunganatham. The plea is that don't wait for a girl to become a woman to empower them. Empower a girl's life by giving sanitary pads to them. With pads, we give them wings. Sakari School is an initiative of We Citizens Foundation since 2019. This platform has been known for recognizing and celebrating the unsung heroes who tirelessly contribute to the upliftment of government schools and education. These individuals deserve not only our appreciation but also our support and recognition to inspire others. They demonstrate that with self determination and hard work, anything is possible, even without substantial backing. Our primary objective is to change the negative perception surrounding government schools and create a supportive ecosystem where society can act as true friends of these institutions. We strive to engage the youth and encourage their involvement in the developing of favorable ecosystem for government schools. In the last 4 years, we were able to engage with more than 30 plus youth across India and also had the privilege to work with more than 500 schools across India. At Sarkari School, we aspire to become a think tank by addressing and resolving issues in a constructive manner to bring in more discourse and discussion on crucial subjects. As we know, the government schools are often stereotyped and subject to negative judgment. It often overshadows the achievements of government schools. Sarkari School in seeks to alter this narrative by providing factual information by uplifting the stories of success and hope relating to government schools. The goal of Sarkari School is therefore to facilitate the constructive dialogues, ideas, and efforts among the educators, policymakers, students, and teachers of various governments to drive effective positive change in the society. Sarkari School has various ongoing projects such as Project Gudiya, Project Vedana, Project Kahani Kosh, Project Sambal, and a committed policy advocacy and research team that is devoted to creating an empowered space for government schools, student areas of menstrual health, of government schools via digital education and an archive of learning opportunities. The projects cover diverse areas of menstrual health, awareness, girl child education, and of course ensuring the safety of the girl students via various campaigns, seminars, and events. The ultimate mission is to offer comprehensive support to government schools, helping them unlock their full potential. The endeavor includes zealous social workers, dedicated educators, the motivated young students, all striving tirelessly to ensure that each child is granted a fair and impartial education. Inspired by this vision, policy advocacy and research team of We Citizens Foundation unites enthusiastic advocates of policy and aspiring researchers aiming to make a positive impact. Their strategy revolves around the conducting research on a variety education related topics in India, establishing an informational platform that serves teachers, government officials, policymakers, and other stakeholders.
Thank you for giving us insights into broader vision, aims, and work of the organization. Now, I invite Lavika to tell us more about the conference.
Empowerment is a multidimensional social process that helps people gain control over their own lives. Today, discourse regarding women's social, educational, economic, and psychological empowerment is in the limelight. However, these discursive debates subjugate menstrual health and policies. Menstrual issues remain untouched in the paradigm of taboos and stereotypes. Policies and education around menstruation become even more important on the spectrum. But the barricades of shame and created around menstruation talks have weakened our ability to think and act. Menstrual health and hygiene is challenged by period poverty, repercussions on education, dignity in professional settings, social insensitivity, and all the silence that transcends it all. It is in the spirit of promoting debate, deliberation, and discussion regarding the policy challenges that relegate the cruciality issues surrounding periods. We have organized a virtual national conference on empowering periods, shaping menstrual policies for schools. The overarching theme for the conference is keeping schools as focal points to educate, support, and empower the folks regarding menstrual and menstrual policies. Come join us in our endeavor to brainstorm, learn, and grow. Thank you. Over to the host.
Thank you, Lavika. Now that we have developed a good understanding of the overarching themes and aims of the panel, let us hear from our speakers their dynamic perspectives regarding the same.
Our first speaker today is Sanjoli Banerjee, an international award-winning activist, founder of Sushiksha Buland, and director of Sarthi. Sanjoli Banerjee, an activist who is currently leading a non-profit organization called Sarthi. Sarthi works on creating awareness around some key pressing social issues like mental health, gender equality, and promoting holistic education. She is also a co-founder of Abhivyakti. Ms. Sanjoli, I invite you to present your views on the topic.
Hi, thank you very much, Nikita. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks to the Sarkari School and the WeCitizens Foundation for all the efforts and the great coordination that I've been observing. So thank you for that. So today I think we talk about a very crucial issue. And I think any amount of conversation is not enough if there are not concrete steps taken on ground. So I am someone who advocates for concrete steps and practical solutions, and I'm less of a talker, more of a doer. So, I'll take this opportunity to kind of build on the introduction, the kind introduction Nikita has given. So my introduction to activism and this field of work actually started as a kid. Thanks to my parents who gave us that upbringing, and they introduced me to this activism after a personal experience in the family around female feticide. So that was the first topic that we started protesting against. My father was the one who took the leap of faith, and then all of us joined him. So for a long time, we'd been into like protesting female feticide and then environmental degradation for a while, because of course environment and women are closely related, and now today we talk about climate justice and stuff like that. These fancy terms did not exist back then. I'm talking about 2009, 2005 to 9, that period, when I was a kid, but we were still vocal about this, working pan India around this. So at Sarthi, what we do is our focus areas to create awareness around pressing social issues, some of which Nikita already mentioned. So currently we are working around promoting holistic education. So I founded a free mobile school in rural Haryana, and now it's been 4 years that it's been running. So we believe that education is vast. It's also very multi dimensional, and it's not just limited to textbooks, and that is how I picked up that issue. I also am a powerful believer of education. I believe that education can really transform lives, as it has done to me. My parents, both of them are educators, so that is something also in my blood, I guess. So that was the inspiration behind launching that mobile school. And we believe that in formative years we can actually shape and mold young people, so that they can be the messengers and take that message to their families and to the society. So therein at the school we talk about all these important issues, including menstrual hygiene. My sister Ananya, who co-leads Sarthi with me, is the founder of Abhivyakti, which is our mental health campaign. She's a passionate student of psychology as well. So we work on that aspect as well. And then finally, of course, menstrual hygiene. Although I have to be honest that we've only started working around it like recently. Again, the idea is to build awareness. So we've done lots of work around low-income private schools in Karnal, visiting schools, talking to students and teachers about this issue, building awareness on what is, as basic as what are periods, why do periods happen, what is wrong with, all the stigmas around it, the myths they have. And it's not actually telling them or canceling their beliefs. It's actually listening to them. It's understanding them, where they are coming from, why these have been passing, like all these myths have been passing down generations. So and it is deeply connected with patriarchy. It's very deeply embedded in our cultures as well. So when we talk about menstrual hygiene and policies around it, and I think we'll be having more conversation around it today, I think it's really important to kind of connect it with culture. Because when we talk about all these things from a modern perspective, because a lot of our knowledge is actually influenced from the Western perspective, all our textbooks, all our understanding comes from the Western perspective. So it's important to understand how, we need indigenous knowledge, we need more local knowledge, and we need practical solutions on how we can really, on ground bring change. So I think collaboration is key. It is absolutely important, because it brings, I think we heard this today previously, that it brings different perspectives along. It also brings different resources. When different stakeholders come together, they all have their own expertise. So generally a society functions at three different levels: micro, meso, macro. So when an organization like ours and other, I'm sure my colleagues here, they work at ground level, so they know the ground reality. However, the policymakers who sit in a policy and research sphere are sometimes disconnected from the ground reality. So when we're talking about creating policies, I think be it in any sphere really, these people need to be brought together so that they can understand what the ground reality is and what the technicalities of policy making are and how people feel about it. So practical challenges, how the community feels, I think all of that needs to come together. That understanding needs to be there. Also, Reva, let me know if I go overboard, with the time limit, let me know, please. But yeah, so I was talking about collaboration. We need all of these people working together, definitely. And that intersection, we need to work at that intersection. And that multidisciplinary approach, I'm sure, will bring around more meaningful change, rather than just lip service, which we don't need anymore, because we are far into 21st century. We can see how patriarchy is connected with gender equality, is connected with menstrual justice, is connected with all other issues. It's connected with a woman's physical, mental, economical well-being. It's everything's interconnected. So it's important to understand that as well, how everything intersects with everything. And I'm sure, like, if young people like us are taken aboard by the government and by other policy think tanks, I think that can really bring about a practical change. Because again, there's a gap between how urban and rural population thinks. There's a gap between how women and men think. There's a difference between how educated people in the urban areas versus other people think. So there's a lot of variety. Ours is a very diverse society, and we have to take everyone along. We have to be very inclusive when we make policies. So I think that is my understanding. I sometimes, because I do a lot of practical work, I become pessimistic, because I see so many great organizations existing in our society, so many government initiatives every day making headlines, and still we see that young women, like the school I work with, they don't even have a toilet in the school. Imagine, like the government school that I've worked with, they have bushes in that government school. Kids cannot go to that toilet because there can be a snake there. So we talk about all these fancy things, sitting here. So I really sometimes actually, I kind of fear that we might be making very elitist conversations here. I'm sitting here in Australia studying at a top university. You all are studying at great organizations. We need to take this conversation and localize it to that community who actually needs it. We are very, very privileged people. Our understanding is totally different from their understanding, their reality. And what we might think is correct might not be correct for them. So that I really kind of promote that, and I hope that we are able to see some practical changes. That is all I have, but I hope to contribute in further question and answer round and other discussion. So thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your very wise words. As you just said, that we have to start from the very basic. We have to answer very basic questions like what is menstruation? When do girls start having menstruation? Because this is a topic which is not really discussed. And as you said, the taboos have been passed down in generations and they're somewhat connected with the culture. So it is very important to first address these issues and then only we can move forward. And also, when you said that there are like three sort of platforms, micro, meso, and macro, and the policy makers who are sitting at the macro level, they're very disconnected from the actual reality that is happening in the ground level. So that is very true that collaboration is very important to sort of intersect and also overlap, if I can say, so that we can actually have a good implementation of the policies. So thank you so much, ma'am. Over to Nikita.
Thanks, Reva. That shows you are listening to me really carefully. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, I invite Sandeep Khanda, founder of Green Pencil Foundation and period activist. He is a social activist with over 5 years of experience in public policy, climate advocacy, green energy, rural development, and menstrual hygiene management. He actively works towards sustainable mobility, clean air, and combating period poverty in Indian society. He is the recipient of John Place Railman Award, MHM Champion Award, and Pro Planet Organization Award. I invite Mr. Sandeep to share his observation and views on this topic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Nikita, for inviting me here, and thank you so much, Sarkari School whole organizing team for organizing such a wonderful event for us. So here in Green Pencil Foundation, basically we people running an initiative that is named Periods of Pride. So basically we people running this initiative in 25 plus Indian states, including the major urban cities. Basically, we people are going in government schools. So basically, we are collecting the problems like what are the sort of challenges teenage girls are facing in government schools related to menstrual health and hygiene. So recently, we also conducted the survey as well in the month of April and May on the menstrual hygiene management. Basically, the main aim of survey is to highlight the problems and challenges that teenagers girls are facing related to menstrual hygiene management. So under this survey, we comes to know like more than 70% of girls still not not comfortable to talk with their own family members, male family members in their own family about the menstrual hygiene management or their periods. So this is the situation of this century. We are living in 21st century, where we people almost entered in the era of 5G technology, but still these kind of stereotype and taboos exist in our society. So being in society, we have to more think about this. We have to more good. We need more good policies and more good implementation sort of practices on the grassroots levels. And definitely, if I talk about the collaboration, I strongly believe in collaboration because with the same aim and same ideas of different organizations, we can create a huge impact on grassroots level in terms of change. So this is my ideology that I am following here in Green Pencil Foundation. And also one more thing I just want to add, we know many state government is giving a free sanitary pads on schools level. Through the survey we also get to know. Suppose if you're gonna Google it, periods of pride by Green Pencil Foundation, you'll get many survey stories and inside statistics data related to the problems that teenage girls are facing on grassroots levels. So government is already giving the sanitary pads. After giving sanitary pads also there are a lot of challenges. Basically, there are many teenage girls who are not aware about the proper disposal of sanitary pads and many other things as well related to periods. Even they are not comfortable to talk with their teacher as well. So this is the problem. This stereotype we can break up with the good some MHM, with some good MHM practices. We can also implement some curriculum on the basis on the school level, so that that will be definitely help out to break this stereotype, break these taboos. Because being in person belonging to a rural class background, I myself faced these kind of challenges in my family as well. My mother, if I talk about my sisters, these kind of taboos that I experienced in my childhood as well. So these things still exist in the urban cities as well. So this is the reality of MHM in today's era in India, because the survey we conducted majorly in the government schools in the tier 1 cities like Hyderabad, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, in these kind of cities. So survey story, hopefully you if you're gonna search it on Google, you definitely get to know the insights about the survey, like what kind of questionnaire was there we put up. So these kind of things we can implement through the strong policy implementation, through the strong collaboration with the organization who are working in the same region or the same areas. So these kind of things definitely help out us to create more impact on the grassroots level. And thank you so much, Sarkari School, for for such a good initiative where the stakeholder can discuss about their common areas of work and common areas of collaboration. So thank you so much, and I do not want to take too much time. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your very informative words. As you said, there are still many challenges, even if organizations and the governments decide to distribute pad among girls in the rural areas, because there is no checkup on how they are using. They are not taught about how to dispose the pads. They're just taught about how to use them initially. So it is true that we are sort of still not combating the actual challenge of how to teach them to use it and to keep continue to using it. So that is very important, that there should be grassroots implementations and regular checkups of whatever we are teaching them and whatever we are gifting to them. So thank you so much for your words. Over to Nikita.
Our next speaker is Palak Khanna, founder of Break the Ice. Palak Khanna is a 20-year-old social entrepreneur, mentor, teacher, and youth change maker. A world record holder, she is BW Wellbeing's 30s under 30, India's 20 under 20, and the former regional officer for Asia Pacific. She is a co-organizer of Delhi Smart Police Protein Project. She has achieved a lot at such a tender age, which makes her a youth icon. I request Ms. Palak Khanna to please share light on this topic.
Thank you so much, Nikita, for that wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. I think I'm really happy in terms of what the conversation has been till now, because I really wanted to emphasize on all of the similar concepts that we've already talked about, which is that we really need to get down to the grassroots level to even start conversations and collaborations, right? So, firstly, thank you so much, Sarkari School and WeCitizens, for the opportunity. Thank you, Nikita. You guys have been great in terms of coordinating and also helping us understand what do you really want us to talk about, which is amazing. Because I really value the way that we are starting this conversation. So, as an introduction, I am Palak. I am a 20-year-old, and my journey has been really drastic from being an extreme introvert to someone who now has an organization who talks about taboo topics. And I know a lot of people hear this and they're like, this is so ironic. You can't even talk about your feelings, right? As a person who's an introvert, how are you talking about things not supposed to be talked about? So it happened during the pandemic. I overheard this conversation, and it's closely linked to what we are talking about today, which is menstruation and period poverty, essentially, and why the stigma even exists. So during the pandemic, I overheard this conversation between my mom and my domestic help. She had had her periods at our place, but she was very uncomfortable asking for pads. And I just overheard that conversation and I told my mom, why are we, and by we I meant urban educated families, why are we pushing this stigma forward? Why are we not telling her it's absolutely all right? It's an extremely natural process. And it's the reason all of us even exist. It's because of menstruation that females are able to give birth, right? So when I overheard that conversation, I realized maybe we need to do something at our own levels. People who have access to resources and education need to start something which can break these taboos. And that essentially led me to opening my organization, which is called Break the Ice, where we try to literally break the ice about taboo topics and stigmatized topics, and ultimately anything that society would not want to talk about. So that's a little bit about me and Break the Ice. And we've been able to expand to 10 countries, and we've realized that culturally the taboos are so, so different. And I remember Sanjoli mentioning initially that culture and including culture in breaking taboos and collaborations is also very important. So I'll not take too much of your time. I think my main goal of understanding this conversation was the emphasis on three C's, which is number one, creating awareness, number two, conversations and collaboration, and number three, call to action. What are we essentially doing after those conversations and after those collaborations, right? Are we getting down to the grassroots level? Are we including the menstruators? Are we reaching out to every community possible? So what we at Break the Ice do, we are trying to combine all three of these C's, and we're working on building a framework where there are no stigmas around mental health, menstruation, gender equality, everything and anything. So again, if I emphasize more on the three C's, I think it's very important, number one, to learn that we can't restrict, creating awareness to only urban sectors or only rural sectors, or even only online mode or only offline mode. When we are creating awareness, it has to happen at every level possible. So what we are doing is we are using the online mode as well as the global community to create awareness. I've realized that when we go on ground, we realize that a lot of people, young children class 6 to 8, who are only getting access to education, they don't even know what menstruation is. So creating awareness for them is very, very different from what we are having conversations around. For them, we have to really tell them, wait, what is happening? It is absolutely natural. This is what you'll go through. This is the age it will happen. You need to feel comfortable. These are the people you need to reach out to, and this is what you need to do. So, number one is creating awareness at every step possible. And number two, again, conversations and collaborations. I think the conversation we're having today will lead to a lot of collaborations. I'm positive about it. So, I hope that can also help us in creating change. But we can't possibly restrict conversations to only schools or maybe only to certain areas. We really need to get down to the grassroots level as well as workplaces. I know initially we were talking about, I think someone mentioned about the menstrual policy leaves, which are now in a lot of discussion. Now, that is something which can really help in workplaces becoming more menstrually aware and inclusive. If that happens, I'm a very strong believer that if leaves for menstruation get approved and these are paid leaves, I think a lot can create, a lot of change can happen even at that very level. So I think conversations towards educational institutions, schools, and at the very core, even homes, I think families can start conversations very powerfully. Because when I told my mom I want to open an organization because I overheard your conversation, she was very supportive about it. So I think even when I'm talking to all of you, it has been possible because we started having conversations around taboo topics at our own house. So if we're able to do that in other places, I think that can create a lot of change. And again, it has to include all the stakeholders, whether NGOs, whether youth change makers, whether menstruators, whether government officials and policymakers. Everybody needs to come together. And that would take us to the third thing, which is call to action, or ultimately taking action. What are we doing? And what can we do? Again, we can create policies, but at the end of the day, if those policies are not inclusive in everything it includes, as well as inclusive in every community it includes, I think inclusivity is twofold. So I think that is something I wanted to leave everyone with, that we need to ensure that every action we take is inclusive in every sense, so that a lot can happen and we can essentially break the ice. So yes, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I hope I didn't take too much of your time.
No, ma'am, not at all. It's always inspiring to hear everyone. And I would just like to say one thing, that even I am about to turn 20 this year. So seeing you already so established in the field, I'm sure it is very inspiring to every other youth generation watching us, just like me and Nikita and everyone from our organization. And just like the three C's that you talked about, especially creating awareness. So one incident happened with us also. So Sarkari School held a gift a pad campaign where we donated pads to a government school in Delhi. And before that, when we were holding a workshop, everyone was very active, but this one little girl was just not talking at all. And then later, when the workshop was over, she came up to me and she said, "Ma'am, I haven't even got my periods yet. So is that okay? Is that normal?" So I feel that just like Sanjoli ma'am and Sandeep sir said, getting to the very basic questions and first addressing them is very important to even start talking about menstruation, and then we can go on to the bigger levels. So that is very true. And just like you said, the last point, menstrual policy leaves are very important because we are anyway trying to educate the younger students. But menstrual policy leaves will actually help us impact the adult crowd also, because they are sort of the more influential crowd in the students, and they can influence their children a lot more than we can. So once we have the menstrual policy leaves, if that is being approved, then I think we can really help to spread this awareness about to everyone, every age group. So I think that will really be helpful to us. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your very influential words. Nikita, you can take over.
Thank you, Reva. Our dentist turned public health professional, Dr. Anuja Sankhe, is our next speaker for the session. She has worked with UNICEF and led our India as a public health consultant during the challenging times of COVID 19. Dr. Anuja founded Bolo P for Periods, an initiative that originated during pandemic from her master's thesis on pain. Bolo P for Periods has grown into a successful endeavor, conducting over 100 plus menstrual awareness sessions and reaching more than 2,000 women, men, and girls in rural, urban, and tribal areas of Maharashtra, Haryana, and Bangalore. It aims to start an open discussion around the usage of the word period. Dr. Anuja, please share your views on the topic.
Uh, Thank you so much, Nikita, for such a warm welcome. And it's been a pleasure listening to everyone here. Like I have been like just tuning in, what everyone is saying right from the start. So thank you so much for having me. And to begin with, I would like to talk about my own organization, Bolo P for Periods. It was basically started during the pandemic period, during the second wave of COVID that we were tackling. And from that emerged my thesis topic of menstrual pain and school absenteeism. Based on that, we started Bolo P for Period. And the only aim of the organization is educating the masses, educating the adolescent girls, the women, including men in the conversation, and every and each stakeholder in saying the word period out aloud. So speak, shout, and embrace periods. That's the entire aim of the organization. And and the two mottos or the two pillars on which the organization is shaped out of, the first one is conversation and the second one is confidence. So here I am actually participating in this discussion to promote that these two pillars are very critical when we're talking about building a menstrual policy from scratch, right? So India has a lot many menstrual policies, but then it is not, for example, implemented well, or it is not like processed well in particular schools or in colleges. And no other state is actually looking at how we can build a policy right from scratch. So somewhere I feel conversation and confidence plays a major role. When it comes to a school ecosystem, we think about a student, right? A student is an integral part of a school. And then there are two kinds of environment around the student, the primary environment and the secondary environment. So primary environment consists of the stakeholders that we have talked about till now, the teachers, the parents, right? The leaders, the school leaders, like we look up to our seniors, we look up to the principal teacher, right? So these all, they consist the primary environment. And the secondary environment actually consists of NGOs, people like us who are into menstrual awareness, education, policy building. It also consists of healthcare professionals, doctors, gynecologists, also the government, the larger ecosystem, the state level policymakers, the central level policymakers. So these two kinds of environments influence the life of the student. And then teachers in this role play a very important role, right? Because teachers actually have that power to form the linkages with the external environment. So the primary environment can form, or the primary ecosystem can form linkages with the secondary ecosystem, because the student has very less knowledge or awareness to go out and reach to to an ecosystem at the government level, or to somebody such as an NGO body or a community based organization. So somewhere teachers and principal and leaders come into picture when linking school with the external environment. And teachers, I feel, are the backbone of this menstrual policy. Like, they should be the first and foremost pillars of the menstrual policy, because they have two important powers which they can exercise with, like when it comes to talking to the students or engaging with the students. So they can actually make or break an individual, right? So when we talk about making an individual, it's actually positive reinforcement. That is, a teacher can actually have that positive influence on the student's life, and negative reinforcement can cause to break an individual. So take an example कि हम लोग एक स्कूल में बैठे हैं, एक लेक्चर में बैठे हैं, and my skirt gets stained and the teacher is shouting at me कि ये क्या कर दिया तुमने, पूरा बेंच खराब कर दिया, तुम्हारा स्कर्ट स्टेन हो गया, जाके क्लीन करके आओ. And there's another teacher who is actually telling me कि it's normal. She is not taking me aside, but in front of the entire class, she is actually telling me कि it's normal. She's educating the girls and the boys together into this conversation and telling both of us कि ये चीज नॉर्मल है, पीरियड के अराउंड बात करना चाहिए. सो दैट इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ पॉजिटिव रिइंफोर्समेंट. एंड ये जो सही और गलत का अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, वो कैसे डेवलप करे? How do we develop this understanding of this is correct and this is wrong in all these forces, in this primary and secondary environment stakeholders? So there comes my second point of confidence, building confidence. And building confidence is not an easy thing. So I have touched upon these 2 points, conversation and confidence. And सुनने के लिए बहुत easy लगता है कि हाँ, these are very easiest things to do, but they are not, as my fellow panelists would know. So when it comes to building confidence, we always look at it from a point intervention कि हाँ, एक बार गए स्कूल में, एक menstrual session ले लिया, या फिर policy implement कर दिया, चलो काम हो गया. That is not how it should be. It shouldn't be a point intervention. It should be a period intervention. It should be a continuous evolving process. Every stakeholder in that, during that period should learn from it. So that's my second point of looking at menstrual policy building and implementation from a period, as a period process and as a constant process. एंड यहाँ पे एक बात आती है कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप लाइक आप स्कूल में हो और आपको किसी ने बोला है कि आपको एबीसीडी सीखना है, राइट, दैट यू हैव टू लर्न एबीसीडी and you're in your primary level. So what do? You actually take a pen, you start writing A 100 times, 200 times. You look at it from a perfecting angle कि how can you perfect that ABCD. Similarly, अगर हम menstrual policy का example ले and we apply this to that, it needs to have a constant bombarding कि वो student को not only at 8th standard should the student first time understand what periods are, right from 5th to 4th, because अभी menstruation लड़कियों में जल्दी आता है, right? So right from 5th to 6th standard, we should start with introducing this concept of menstruation in the minds of boys and girls together. Then in 6th, then in 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, it should continue. So it needs to be a constant bombarding process of making oneself also understand and educating, and then also telling others of what periods are. And this translating confidence to behavior change, that is what we're looking at, right? That should be the end product कि बच्चे खुद से चीजें करें. Like they should actually inculcate this idea of what periods are and everything in their daily life. That is what is behavior change. So somewhere changing this paradigm, like shifting this confidence into behavior change, is very difficult. Now, for example, take example of the launch of Chandrayaan-3, which India accomplished, right? India was able to do that because it invested a lot into science and technology. But now when we compare this with menstrual policy, that has been pending since many years, since decades. Why are we not being able to accomplish this, right? And why are we able to actually accomplish something such as the launch of Chandrayaan-3 very easily? The difference lies in the ease of doing it, feasibility. कितने आसान तरीके से हम वो चीज कर सकते हैं. And somewhere behavior change is very difficult to conquer. It's very difficult. So somewhere, our ideas or our projects what we want to implement at the end, or what impact we want to see at the end, should revolve around how, you know, basic things such as period can be inculcated into this idea of behavior change, and how easy can it be made. We don't want something which is very difficult or which is very heavy on our minds, you know. It needs to be very simple. And the last point that I want to touch upon is making the school ecosystem, like each stakeholder, making each stakeholder the enabler should be the ultimate aim. आपने कभी सोचा है कि आपको अगर अपने मॉम, मतलब आपकी मॉम आपको 10 बार बोलती है सुबह उठने को 6 बजे, आप कभी उठते हो? You don't, right? You don't get up in the morning. But then when you one night think कि हाँ नहीं कल मैं उठूंगा सुबह जल्दी, next morning you are able to get up early. So that point should come from within. तो जो मैं enabler का बोल रही हूँ, that should be actually enforced upon each of the forces that we're talking on when it comes to menstrual policy building. So enabling should be a major component of the policy level of framework that we're talking up. Yeah. And like these are just some of the points that I want to touch upon. And apart from this, if I have some time, I can talk about my own organization, Bolopi for Periods. So as I said, it evolved out of my master's thesis, and it's been 3 years that we are working towards conducting menstrual awareness sessions at rural, tribal, and urban level. So there is a misconception that the urban population already knows everything. We assume that, right? But then when we conducted a survey, a state-wise survey, we understood that very few girls actually have that knowledge of, even the basic knowledge of what periods are. कि ये period का word क्या है? You know, when I said, you know, this is a pad, this is a sanitary pad, a girl asked me, is this a writing pad? Like, you know, are you talking about writing pad? So we need to actually look at the basics before jumping on to something that we're looking at, like, you know, developing a policy and stuff. And another example, a splendid example would be, we visited a school to take a session on menstruation, and the girls there, the teachers communicated it to us that the girls were not wearing underpants. And there I took an entire session on periods and how to use a sanitary pad effectively. So the school girls, like only during their periods, they used to wear an underpant, wear a pad, like sort of, या फिर a cloth. And during the rest of the days, they used to not wear an underpant because unke families में that was considered taboo. So such a basic thing, like even before, talking about periods, we need to talk about hygiene. We need to talk about, मतलब family में कैसे ये बात छेड़े हम, and how to grow this as a topic within the families, and then it comes to, I think, a school level thing. So yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, especially for the incident you shared at the end, because I don't think a lot of people were aware that this taboo is also associated with just basic hygiene for every girl. So, thank you so much for that. And as you said, a very important point that a teacher is a very important link between the primary and secondary environment. So, they are the first hand people who can either make or break an individual. So, positive reinforcements are really important and they should be taught to the teachers as well. And I actually wanted to I was looking forward to discuss this point that what strategies can be employed to ensure long-term sustainability and continuity of menstrual policies. So I think you addressed that beautifully when you said that, like, children are taught ABCD at school and they've been revised that for every standard that they get into. I think even talking about menstrual policies, they should be started from the fourth or fifth standard and should be talked about every year as they grow. We can tell them a little more information about it so that it is actually properly revised also every year, and that is how they can actually properly have a thorough understanding of this. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your time. And
Reva, actually, like the point on make and break an individual, I also learned that from a teacher only. So it comes a full circle, yeah.
yes, exactly. So definitely teachers are really, really important for us this way. So, okay, so now that we have had our insights from every panel speaker, I would like to open the forum for discussions. So, as Sandeep sir said, and even Dr. Anuja, she shed a light upon this. When we are implementing menstrual policies, there are some key challenges that are faced, right? Like they don't even know the basic understanding of periods, or as Sanjoli ma'am said, even fetus suicide is like very prevalent in India and everywhere else. So, how do you think that collaborations between NGOs or organizations or government organizations, how do you think a collaboration specifically can help us overcome these challenges that are faced? Any one of you can take up this, please.
Okay, I'll go ahead. So, Reva, I think with your question, the first thing to understand is what are the challenges. So, naming them, understanding them, identifying what the challenges are, where they're coming from, what is the nature of challenges, and then kind of again getting back to collaboration, working with different organizations and seeing whose expertise is this. Who can we bring together, and understanding that. We as organizations, we shouldn't be thinking that we know everything and we are the experts when working with communities. I, being a student of social work and social policy, we understand that community is the expert, the menstruator themselves is the expert. So basically kind of promoting them and their interests, instead of being that we are the ones who know everything, we are the knowledge holders, we have come here to educate you. That kind of power relation has to be broken. And then I think we can better understand challenges, and we can work with them instead of working towards them. And then the second thing is, you mentioned the word sustainability, and I think Dr. Anuja as well very well mentioned it in her comment. I think monitoring and kind of continuously monitoring the implementation of policies, I think Palak also touched upon this, that we need to keep evaluating how the implementation has been done. So it's not just once that we've done it and it's over. We need that continuous monitoring, amending the policies. So how we call constitution the living document, all our policies need to be living policies, where we can continuously keep kind of amending them and modifying them as per the need. So that is what we need, I guess, and that is how we can address challenges. But of course, different communities, different regions will have their own challenges. So it's difficult for a country like India to implement something like uniform all over the country, especially with issues like these. Obviously, we need a basic strategy, a basic framework, but then region to region, I think it will differ. So that is my understanding. Yeah, and also please don't call me ma'am. Sanjoli is okay. So thank you.
Thank you, Sanjoli. And I agree with you that a framework is very important in anything to implement a plan. So I agree with you with this, that we need a framework for anything if you want to go on with something. So I also have one more question for the panelists, that like as our panel focuses on uniting forces, like collaborating with NGOs, healthcare providers, and more diverse coordination, how can we promote the menstrual partnership? And like how can we create policy ideas that take into account a wide range of challenges?
Um, Nikita, if I can address the question.
Yes, yes, sure.
Yeah. So when we talk about uniting the forces, first of all, itself a huge challenge, because we are looking at the strengths and weaknesses of each of the stakeholder, right? And then everybody needs to come on one platform to discuss, to understand what a stakeholder can do and what another can't do. So somewhere understanding that initially needs to be very strong. And and the second point is maybe connecting with the community, like like the organizations which have a strong connect with the community, partnering that with policymakers. Like the point which Sanjoli had touched upon initially in her initial talk was keep policymakers are at a state, central, district level, divisional level, and we're talking about change at the opposite part of it, at the ground level, right? So so the organizations or the institutions which directly work with the people and who can give those perspectives to the policymakers, uh, that can bridge the gap between, having that strong sense of implementation. So yeah, so that can be the second point that we can address through uniting the forces and through addressing the challenges that we're talking about.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very insightful discussion that we just had. I would just like to discuss this with Sandeep, sir. Sir, you have educated in over 25 cities. You have educated women in over 25 cities and more than 300 villages in India. But I would like to ask, how do you think a government's role is important in supporting and engaging the women entrepreneurship so that we can address menstruation in a better way?
Yeah, sure. As I already told in my initial talk as well, if we go in any government schools, we can see government is already giving the sanitary pads. So that is not a solution. Everybody knows that is not a solution, because a girl who is getting the sanitary pads is not aware about the proper disposal of that pad, proper use of that pad, because her mom is already using cloth pad or bad clothes, these kind of stuffs, because of lack of awareness. If I talk about the remote locations, specifically rural India, then this is not a solution. So here NGOs and these kind of implementing agencies can play a crucial role, because we people are going there. Initially we getting the insights of problem what they girls are facing, in terms of survey, in terms of any kind, one-on-one talk, in terms of anything. Like you have to make a platform like that. Initially you have to get the problems, like the challenges they are facing. Based on that we have to address those challenges. We have to implement those things into the policies. So these kind of steps we need to do in the implementation level, in the policies level. Because what we did here in Green Pencil Foundation, I already added. Few months back we conducted these surveys in many government schools in many states, and we get insights. More than 70% girls are not comfortable to talk with even their own male family members about the periods. And we are launching here Chandrayaan 3, one side, and another side this is the scenario and situation. And the survey is directly recorded from the ground level in the schools itself. So this is how together we can you can say how in collaboration we can work for a better impact on a large scale. Because giving sanitary pad is not a solution. We have to implement such kind of things in the policies so that girls will be more practical about the periods. Not even girls, boys as well. Being a man, if I go in rural India in a school, if I see somebody is bleeding in class, then that will be stereotype for a boy as well. There are a lot of misconception about this thing. So these kind of things we have to strictly implement through the government policies. And some practices also need to be there on the schools level, on their own houses level. Because girls are not even comfortable to talk with their dad, with their brother, about the periods, about the menstrual health. So this is the problem. So stereotype we can definitely break through the good policies and good practices on the school level. And awareness can also play a good and important role in this. Yeah, that's all from my side. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And I agree with you. Like both girls and boys should be educated, and not only girls about period, because we live in a society where both are there. And if we are only educating one person, the other will be like he will have a stereotype about periods. So we don't want that, and we want to educate both of them. And it is really true that we should like the work should be groundwork and not like only educating people from school. We should educate everyone. So I strongly agree with you. I want to ask my next question to Palak Khanna, that like
initiating policies in general trade-offs are common, and similarly when we frame menstrual policies we are keeping the environment at stake in many ways. So with your experience spanning across multiple fields, how can we take a multi-stakeholder approach to eliminate these trade-offs?
That's a great question. I think that's a question that even I have a lot of times when we're discussing collaborations. How do we make sure that other industries aren't impacted? I think a great example of this is the sustainable pads which are now coming up. I was discussing this with one of my team members that we should collaborate with organizations that are bringing forward sustainable menstruation products. Why? Because this is practically ensuring that there is an industry collaboration, there is a multi sectoral approach, but we're also working on two things together, which is environment and menstruation. So I think something like this needs to be taken forward in every aspect of conversations around menstruation and period poverty. One example would be this: how we can ensure that we're not damaging the environment, and we're also, even if we're not able to prevent the trade off, at least minimize it to a great extent. So I think ensuring that those industry collaborations take place in industries which are complementary to each other, or maybe industries which are maybe not complementary to each other, so that if we don't do the collaboration, they might damage each other. So I think that is very, very important. And again, you were mentioning, ensuring a multi-sectoral approach. So firstly, I think stakeholders, collaborators should actually create awareness about environment as well. So we were talking about awareness around menstruation, but when we take other industries, we realize that awareness is actually, there's a lack of awareness in a lot of industries. I'm also a very passionate environmentalist, and I've realized half of the people don't even know what is a carbon footprint. Half of the people don't even know how am I, creating damage for the environment. So at the very core, I think awareness and collaboration together can work towards any industry and any industry collaboration. So I think, yeah, that's what I would want to highlight here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Very, very informative. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today and helping us create a very enlightening session for every one of us, because we have learned from each other a lot, and for all the viewers who have been watching us today. So, thank you so much, for everyone, for joining us. I would just like to take a moment to ask for feedback from each of our panelists so that we can improve our conferences from the next time. So, Dr. Anuja, would you like to take this first?
Um, it was very well organized, like right from the like ideation of it to now we're having the conversation around it. I feel that the entire team worked together effortlessly. I mean, we thought that it was effortless, but maybe it was a bit of a challenge for you guys. So yeah, very well done. Um, Positive feedback only.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sanjoli ji, would you like to take now?
So from Sanjoli ma'am, we went to Sanjoli ji. Thank you. Yes, I think I'll reiterate what Dr. Anuja said. I think I've been a part of a lot of platforms, but the way the coordination was handled here was remarkable. It was very like step to step, very well done, very well organized. So, and I think the topic itself is important, and I think you covered different dimensions of it. So there's so many panels happening today. It's not just one conversation across the topic and we are done. So I appreciate that you tried to bring together people from different fields, from different knowledge backgrounds, so which is great. I think we can also probably have more people from the other background, basically what we've been talking about. So menstruators themselves coming in, or from people from different backgrounds coming in, so we have more kind of diverse perspectives. We can also as panelists get to learn more. So probably that, but otherwise I really enjoyed this time. I appreciate the initiative, and I hope you keep doing good work and inspire more people. And I want to make a quick comment on what Dr. Anuja and later Sandeep also mentioned, about Chandrayaan 3 being launched. Being a student of public policy, if I can be really brutally honest, the policies are, whatever is implemented, whatever initiatives are taken, are done in the interest of the government. So they see what will lend them votes next time in the election. if they start talking about periods and if they start working around menstrual hygiene, they wouldn't get votes in the next election. But when they talk about national security and if they talk about technological advancement like this, so it's all about vote bank politics, and I understand that being a student of politics. So if our masses, if our citizens become that aware that they can question the government, that you're not working on this aspect, so we will vote you out and you don't get to work in, because as important as national security is, this is also important. This is what happened in Australia. I study here, I've been living here for a while. The citizens are so aware. They had been asking for action on climate change, and when the previous government, the Liberal government, failed to take an action on climate change, they ruled them out. Now it's the opposition sitting in power. So that is because they are like, we want action. We want action on what we demand. And for that, the citizens have to be aware and educated. They should have that power to ask the question. So the government should be people's servant, but it is not the case in India at the moment, very unfortunately. So that is why Chandrayaan is happening and menstrual policies aren't. So I hope for a better future with this. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Sanjoli. Sandeep sir, please share your feedback.
Yeah, session was nice and it's well organized. And Sanjoli already added her views about like different, like how people can drive the these things by their own power of vote. So she already added that point as well. That is must be happen here in India as well, because here in India it's like people are servant and government is you can say government is owner. So government is drive people here, but in actual we have to drive the governments. We have to demand for the policies. We have to put up the question and all things. And session was nice and overall feedback was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Palak, please share your feedback.
All positive feedback here as well. I think it was very well organized, and I do want to highlight that the topic was something which was extremely important, and I think the ideation was done very well. So, yes, all positive feedback.
Thank you, everyone. Now I will call upon Twinkle to present the vote of thanks.
Twinkle cannot be with us today, so Aryashi will cover her part. Aryashi, please take over.
Sure. Thank you, Reva and Nikita. I'm delighted to express my gratitude and appreciation towards all the esteemed guests and dignitaries who have graced this conference with their wisdom and ideas. Thank you so much for joining us. It was truly thought-provoking discussion, and it would not have been possible without you, our esteemed panelists. My heartfelt thanks to the organizing team and Sarkari School for their hard work towards making this discussion a successful one. So, the given insights about taking concrete steps rather than words is something that we all take away from this session. This session also highlighted the importance of education, especially at the grassroots level from younger ages where practical actions are needed. The notion of stereotypes and taboos, which is still prevalent, which is disheartening and needs to be addressed at least by us, like now being the citizens of 21st century. And concluding that collaboration is the key, the discussion on how people should come together, create awareness, conversations, and most importantly, build confidence are the key takeaways from this session. Thank you so much, panelists, for sharing in your own experiences and making this session lively and engaging. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you all, our audience and listeners, for actively being part of this conference and being with us the whole time. We really appreciate your participation. Once again, thank you to everyone who has contributed towards making this event a success. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the guests for a very wonderful session. You all can leave now. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Bye.
Now we would like to shift over to the research article writing competition that was held. So recently, Sarkari School hosted a research article writing competition where writers were asked to present their views on various themes surrounding the topic of menstruation. Out of 40 plus articles that we received, our panel of judges carefully shortlisted the top 15 best written articles. To honor our wonderful writers' effort, please extend a warm welcome to them while they take the platform to present their enriching and thought provoking articles. Samyukta, would you like to present an article?
Yeah, sure. Hold on. Let me present the PPT.
Sure. You are on mute, Samyukta. Could you please unmute yourself?
My screen is visible, right?
Yeah, it's visible.
All right. So, firstly, I'd like to thank the Sarkari school team and the WeCitizens Foundation for this excellent opportunity. It was truly enlightening to listen to the esteemed speakers and their insights on a topic that holds increasing relevance across the world today. So, now I'll be presenting my article that I submitted for the competition, and it's titled Sustainable Menstruation in India: Accessibility, Affordability, and the Government. This article focuses on the critical issue of menstrual hygiene in India and the urgent need for sustainable solutions to ensure the well being of women. It highlights the disparities in access to hygienic menstrual protection and the associated health So, risks. firstly, I'd like to thank the Sarkari school team and the Citizen Foundation for this excellent opportunity. Health It risks was a truly significant enlightening. portion of the female population.
One second. Raghavi, could you please mute yourself? Thank you. Samyukta, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So, the environmental impact of the disposable sanitary pads is discussed, and the need for sustainable alternatives is also mentioned. So, I've analyzed three different options, that is, menstrual cups, reusable cloth pads, and biodegradable sanitary napkins. And the article also acknowledges the challenges of affordability and accessibility that hinder the widespread adoption of these options. The government is identified as the key to foster a change in mindset and ensure widespread adoption of these alternatives. Potential solutions like tax exemptions, subsidies, and issuance of tenders to reputable manufacturers are discussed. I've also highlighted certain similar initiatives that have already taken place in Kerala, fostering similar partnerships, publicizing their efforts, offering incentives, and taking over the reins in terms of distribution of these commodities to end customers is also discussed. And two solutions have been proposed. Firstly, educational institutions are recognized as critical agents for promoting alternative menstrual hygiene practices, particularly women centric schools and colleges. Ensuring clean toilets for convenient use of menstrual cups in these institutions could significantly reduce the waste caused by sanitary pads. Additionally, the distribution of reusable menstrual products at no cost or subsidized prices, along with awareness, of course, among these institutions, can encourage a greater adoption of these alternatives. Next, to ensure the widespread distribution of environmentally friendly methods of menstrual protection, the article proposes their integration into the public distribution system, that is, ration shops, which, as we all know, provide essential goods at economic costs. In addition to food and fuel, safe and sustainable menstrual products should also be recognized as staple items and made accessible through these outlets, ensuring their availability for everyone in need. In conclusion, the article emphasizes that the burden of sustainable menstruation should not fall on individuals alone. It requires unwavering support and collaboration between the government, welfare organizations, and all citizens, regardless of gender. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Samyukta, for that very informative and engaging PPT. Your suggestions were really well written and well put forward, so thank you so much. Now I would like to invite Raghavi. Raghavi, you can start with your presentation.
Yeah. Uh,
Mm-mm.
Okay, so while Raghavi is adjusting with the camera, Pranjal Sharma, you can take this forward, please. You are on mute actually. Could you please unmute yourself?
Like, yeah, I did it. Am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. So, hello everyone. Myself Pranjal Sharma. I'm from Bareilly. I'm a master degree holder with environmental sciences, and today I'm going to presenting my topic, which is breaking silence about menstruation hygiene in the schools. So basically, when we look at the last decades, we find out like um, many findings been arousing over about the menstruation hygiene thing. Like people, the girls, basically the adolescent girls and the women, they are not yet aware about it. Like girls, they are attaining the menarche, but they don't know what actually menarche is. Okay, and the thing is the experience gap and the communication gap, because people over here in India, they feel very uncomfortable. They feel very the thing like a literal thing. This is like if they talk about something like menstruation, because it is the dirtiest topic to be talked about, and they feel shameful about it. Hence, nobody want to talk about it. The results are the girls are not very aware about it. They even don't feel comfort. Like to whom should they share their first experiences? They attain their menarche, and they feel shy even to ask their family or to their friends, moreover to the teachers as well. So they never asked anyone, and they just struggle with their psychological experiences. They feel anxiety time to time with such things. There should be a need. There should be an actual need to uh, I should to talk about this topic more. We should talk about this more. We should communicate, and especially the family members or the friends and the mother herself or the teachers. They should tell about the menstruation to the adolescents, at least to those girls who are going to attain their menarche soon. In the rural areas, there are the girls who don't know about the products, about the sanitary products, like what kind of sanitary products they should use. They are using sometimes the rags or the newspapers or such stuff, which are totally unhygienic for their health, and they are just causing harm to their like reproductive life as well. So still, though the UNICEF and the World Health Organization, also the MHM, are working currently on the topic menstruation and hygiene related with menstruation, but still there is a large need to make other aware on this particular topic. We should have to tell them how should they can hygiene themselves, how they should use the sanitary napkins, and we should also take care of to providing the stuffs to them at time in the schools and in the families as well. The thing is, if we will communicate, if we will take the step further, then only we can make the change, and that is the priority of the time. So that's all about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pranjal, for your very
Thank you.
wise words. Now we have
Hmm.
Raghavi presenting. Raghavi, are you ready?
yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. Good evening to everyone. Myself Raghavi, and we are going to see You could see my screen. Yeah. Yeah. So menstruation, we all been discussing for past couple of hours. It's all regarding a natural body process where ladies will, which will be lead us to the reproduction. So it is statistically statistical data of UNICEF reveals that about 26% of world women population menstruate each day. So on an average, 26% of world population are menstruating population. So 800 approximately it is 800 million of women are menstruating each day. 5,000 to 10,000 million napkins are being disposed into the environment each day, which is a hazardous thing. So, talking about sustainable menstruation, it's all about the thoughtful process or a mindful process of a women focusing on say disposing their sanitary products in such a way that is not affecting the environment. So it is apart from creating awareness, it is apart from doing something campaigning and other thing. It is a sustainable menstruation is a concept that is apart from everything. It is all about your an individual thought process. It is an individual thought process either from their different social background. So, as I already quoted, 10,000 million sanitary products is being disposed into the environment, which is an hazardous things. Why? Because these sanitary products are the standard sanitary products which contains polyester component, which takes 500 to 800 years on an average to dispose. So, in such cases, it leads to a hazardous impact on the ecosystem by creating excess of carbon footprint, greenhouse gases, which ultimately leads to global warming and change in global climate change, which has been a hot topic in the society. So, it not only on the ecosystem as well as on the women personal health. It creates rashes, itches, fibroids, cysts, PCOD, PCOS. PCOD and PCOS are the regular topic for every day. Even in a girl with the age of 13 is suffering from PCOS and PCOD. So such is the case. It's all because of this polyester napkins which we are using regularly. So, this thing has created a paradigm shift in the preference of the sanitary products of the women. Not only this, it's also because of COVID. COVID is not nowhere related to menstrual hygiene, but still, COVID created a health consciousness among the society, not only on the respiratory organs, respiratory health. It also created a paradigm shift on the overall health of the human being, which also a reason for changing in preference from the standard sanitary napkin to a reusable cotton and quality sanitary product. So, coming to sustainable menstruation, once again, we could relate it to the concept of period poverty. Yeah, many speakers has been talking about period poverty. Still, out of 279 countries around the world, around 180 sorry 130 countries are facing this period poverty. Even South Africa, Sudan, Chad, these are the countries we know where is it, what they are up to, what the people are. They are facing 95% of period poverty, which means the girls who are menstruating are not able to afford or access the menstruating product. So this is all about the sustainable menstruation and the state of society and the change in preference of the women folk from the older sanitary napkins to the newer reusable napkin or cotton napkin pads. So what are the methods to use by the women folk in order to maintain a good women personal health as well as to have a sustainable menstruation? So it's not only about your disposing the napkins or your tampons or something like that. It's all about maintaining your health. When you're disposing, please check to that you are washing it cleanly, not making your menstrual fluid visible and other things. So this is one point. And secondly, you should wrap it in the newspaper so that no other animals or any other thing cannot take it. It may lead to some other fungi infection in the society, because we have an organic waste in that, medical waste in fact. So secondly, and don't dump it into the washrooms. Many of the ladies used to do that. They know it's wrong, in spite of that they do that. That should not be done. It will affect the sewage system as well as the ecosystem as well. So and so, what are the policies must be done to make the sustainable menstruation famous? So, not only creating awareness, we are doing as Sarkari school, and many NGOs are doing the awareness program campaigns. And in spite of this, there is no solution for this. It's all because the individual must go. Not only about the campaign, attending a campaign, attending something, doing this and that. The individual must have a thoughtful thing in their mind that we are protecting, not only protecting our health, but also we have to protect others' health and the ecosystem, which connect. It consists of n number of species. Not only human, we have animals, we have insects, whichever species we have. These are things are being told in the ancient text scriptures we have in Vedas. So some may call it as taboos, but these are the basic things which were being existing in India for decades ago. And just I'm making you all the aware of this. So and improvising the manufacturing of the cotton and reusable sanitary napkins. So this will promote more women entrepreneurs, as we are in the make in India era, which is promoting more number of entrepreneurs. This inculcating the entrepreneurship will be done when we promote the cotton and reusable napkin. So, lastly, education awareness we all are doing. In spite of that, it is the individual's sole decision to have a thought of not making hazardous for ourselves as well as for the environment. I thank Sarkari School and the management of this Sarkari School for this wonderful opportunity. I've been many things I don't know. I've been learning from you all. I wish I will have some more opportunities to learn from you from different topics. I love the education and the academician. Being an assistant professor, I love to spread many things to the people. I wish I will have some more opportunity to with you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raghavi. We are also looking forward more opportunities to talk and host sessions with you. I personally read your article too, and I found it really really engaging and informative. And even during your presentation, you helped us understand situation from the other countries as well, and just did not focus on India. And also shared a few disposable methods that can be adopted by women. So it was a really really informative presentation. So thank you so much. Um, I would now like to conclude this conference. First of all, I would like to thank my co host Nikita and the organizing team of Sarkari School who helped us conduct this conference in a beautiful manner. I request all the viewers now to join us in panel 5, which is Beyond Implementation Ensuring Sustainable Impact. So, see you all there. Thank you for joining.